right, guys. Welcome back to Always Moving Forward. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, and if you guys like the content that you guys are seeing, hit that like button, comment, and share. Today is just Sunday. It's been extremely hot out here. I know here in Texas, and I know Tony's been experiencing that heat wave out there in Vegas.
Yes, it's hot. It's really hot.
So let us know where you guys are from, and what the temperature is like where you're at. So before, with that out of the way, I want to introduce my guest. So this is Tony Taylor. How's it going, Tony?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Good to see you again.
Yes, same. Tony's. I met him on Facebook, and man, we've been talking for about almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks. Yeah. So, I've gotten a chance to get to know Tony, and so I'm really excited about doing this interview and having you guys get to know him as well. So, Tony is a actor, a writer, producer. So, I'm gonna have him come and tell you his story. So, Tony, go ahead and introduce yourself. Just tell us where you were born and raised, and kind of what life was like growing up.
Sure, that'd be great. It's good to see you again, Park. So, like Park said, I'm Tony. It's nice to meet everybody. Glad you're tuning in to Park's show because he has an excellent show. I've been following it since I met him, and I watch all of his episodes, and it's really good. But like he said, I'm from Denver, Colorado. I was born in Denver. I was born into a crime family, and then when I was 2 years old, my birth father passed away, and he was part of that family. But when I was 5 years old, my mom remarried. She remarried. The guy she remarried was a rodeo cowboy, so he moved us out of Denver, right. And he took us to the mountains of Colorado to an area called South Park, a town called Fairplay up by Breckenridge, 2,000 feet above sea level. A lot of skiing, a lot of wildlife. I lived on a ranch up there, growing up that way, So it was kind of a mixed cultural lifestyle I had growing up. Back down to the rodeo and ranching lifestyle, and it was hard. It was actually really hard growing up like that. I had to do chores all the time,
Right.
Before school started, I'd have to take care of a whole bunch of animals, and as soon as I get home from school, the same thing. The dad that adopted me was wonderful. I was blessed to have him in my life. I was thank you for that. He passed away a couple years ago, but he was one of the main people that molded me who I am today.
Right.
So I'm very grateful for him. But he was a little hard. He was hardcore. I don't know if you know too many rodeo people in your lifetime, but they're very, very determined, and they're very there's no excuses. They don't have excuses,
Right.
So the first time I got on a bucking horse, I was 6 years old, and they were practicing. Him and his buddies were practicing in the arena at the house, and I rode regular horses, so I had no idea what a bucking horse was really.
Right.
I just know they ran it in the chute. I got on it.
Right.
And it came out and it bucked. I fell off right away and I hit the ground. I was only 6.
Wow.
I started crying. I was like, and he's like, get up. I got another one coming for you. And I was like,
wow.
No way, buddy. You're not happening. And then he said some things to me that basically, gave me a real look at life, of what my life would be. If I had two choices. I could get my butt in the house with the women and hang out with them, or I could get back on another horse and hang out with the guys. You know what I mean? So I stuck with the guys. So, and then I started rodeoing, when I was 8, I started Little Bridge Rodeo. That was an organization. They rodeo all over the country, and they rode steers.
Right.
And then when I got to be 10 years old, I started riding junior bulls. And then when I turned 13, that's the youngest they'll let you ride bareback horses.
Right.
So I started riding bareback horses and really found my niche with them.
Mm-hmm.
I still rode a lot of bulls, but I had a good rodeo career. You know, I turned pro in the PRCA. Traveled all over the United States, rodeoed in Canada a few times.
Wow.
I had a lot of good memories rodeoing in the bareback horses. And I did ride a few bulls, quite a few bulls here and there.
Right.
I like the bareback horses a lot better. It was tough. It was a tough life.
So now, in the middle of that, growing up in that area, what was school like? Did you play sports or?
In elementary, I didn't play sports in elementary except boxing. I started boxing when I was 10 years old because my childhood hero was Rocky Marciano. He was a world heavyweight champ back in the late 40s and early 50s.
Right.
But he was my hero, you know what I mean? And I wanted to be just like Rocky.
Right.
So I started boxing when I was 10. Had a wonderful amateur career, really good amateur career. I was ranked nationally when I got to be an older teenager, younger adult. I was ranked nationally in USA boxing.
Right.
Fought at 147 pounds. I never made it to heavyweight. You know, I was too small for that, but I'm glad I didn't. These guys took hard, but you know, it's you know, and then so I did turn pro at boxing as well. When I was a middleweight when I turned pro. You know, I had 20 pro fights. I had 95 amateur fights. And I did my pro career boxing at the same time I did my pro career at rodeo. You know, because in boxing, you fight once every 4, 5, 6 months. But in rodeo, you're hitting rodeos. I can beat 3, 4, 5 rodeos a week. You're constantly traveling. You're living in a hotel. There's, you know, camping out in somebody's horse trailer or something like that. So, you're tired, you're sore, you're beat up the whole time. You're junky food from gas stations or from McDonald's or whatever.
Right. Right.
It's a pretty rough life rodeoing, but it's fun. You know, I liked it. It was my passion. It was more of addiction, I would say, than a passion. You know, it was a passion in the beginning, but then, you know, the adrenaline and everything that comes along with the danger of the sport, you know, you just start craving it, and you want it more and more and more. So it was hard to. When I retired, it was really hard for me. You know, it was really hard for me.
Right.
And then 2006, I went down to a rodeo down in New Mexico from Colorado, and I got bucked off the back of a horse, and it kicked me both hooves in the side of my head right here, fractured my skull. And I had white spots. They had to do surgery. I got a little scar up here, but they had to do surgery. And I was out. I was in the hospital for a long time, and then had to do a rehabilitation. So I lived in a rehabilitation center for a while, and then after I got able to go out of the rehabilitation center, I had to live with somebody because I couldn't have 24-hour. I had to have 24-hour care. Right. Cook. The doctor put a red flag on my driver's license, so I couldn't drive. You know, I was pretty limited. Yeah. You know, to what I could do. So I got really lucky, and my mom let me live with her. You know, take care of me again. You know, and I was so thankful and grateful for that. You know, she took me to the therapy all the time, and I started getting better and better. I had to relearn everything all over again. You know, and it was hard. It was really a tough road that I went down. You know, right. I wasn't going to give up, you know, because I didn't want to fail in life. Right. And I had a lot of things I could have done once I got out of therapy, you know, but I wanted to keep rodeoing, and I've missed it real bad. I was out of it for about a year, so I missed it, and I remember a rodeo that my friends were entering. They entered it up, and it was like 3 hours away from my mom's house. And I told my mom I wanted to go watch my friends, if she could please take me up there so I could hang out. Because I didn't have anyone else around me except for my mom. And I didn't have any friends where she lived, so it was kind of lonely. And I didn't really get on Facebook or anything. I don't even know if Facebook was back in 2006. I don't even know. MySpace or something like that. But I didn't care about that stuff. So, but I tricked her. I tricked my mom because I actually entered the rodeo.
Wow.
And she didn't know it. So I put my gear bag in the back of her truck, and we drove all the way up to this rodeo, and I still had my pro card, so we parked where the contestants can park and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I got out of the truck, and I grabbed my gear bag, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm going to ride me around. Right. Wow. Boy. Look of disappointment, and she definitely called me a few choice words and say on air, but it was pretty bad. And I kept telling her, "Oh, don't you worry, everything's gonna be fine, Mom. I'm fine. Everything's good." And my thoughts were slow. I was like reaching out slow for things still, and everything was moving slow in my world. And
so I'm going to ask you
tons of headaches.
Hey, John, I'm going to ask you two questions. So
yeah,
the first one is. During that time when you were recovering, would you being that you were a rodeo, rode in the rodeo, and there was a boxer, would you call yourself an adrenaline junkie?
Yeah, that's a fair word. I craved it. Boxing definitely gave me some adrenaline, but not near as much as rodeo, because like when you're boxing. You study your opponent, so you know what you're going to deal with when you get in that ring. And you can. It's a pretty well controlled environment. You can control whatever happens to you, because if you block. If you fight good, you can control what happens to you. So there was an adrenaline. It was more of a. It was a sport. I love boxing. I loved it a lot. But compared to rodeo, there's the adrenaline level on rodeo is way higher, because when you get on the back of a bull or a horse, you cannot control that situation. You have no idea what's going to happen in the next 8, 10, 15 seconds of your life. You have no idea, and you can't control it. So it's a bit of fear, it's a bit of adrenaline, and in the sport of rodeo, already you're going to get hurt no matter what. You're going to get hurt. Everybody knows you're going to get hurt, but you don't know how bad you're going to get hurt. So that's what you question yourself. When you grab a bull or a bronc, you already know you're going to get hurt. So you accept it. It's fine. You don't think about that. You don't even really worry about how bad you're going to get hurt. You don't think stuff like that. It's just the adrenaline, and I'm telling you, the feeling of coming out of the chute on the back of the bareback horse, it's such an explosion. It's just so much torque. Wow. It's just so much power. It's like, whoa, it's such a good feeling. Until when the horse starts to buck, then it's a little different, because now you're getting paddled around, But it's yeah, I would say I'm a good.
So now, the second question I was going to ask on that is, like, when you were in the process of recovering from the injury, because this is something you love doing, and at that time it was, I don't know if it was your purpose, but it was definitely a passion. So how did you deal with that during the whole time that you were trying to recover?
Well, a lot of the time when I was trying to recover, it was frustrating. You know what I mean? I kept missing my friends. I kept missing my lifestyle, because when you're rodeoing, like most people go to a job 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever it is, and it's their daily routine. I was making a living out there on the road, doing whatever. I was my own boss. When I didn't have to answer to anybody, and I was free. The feeling of that freedom was just incredible, because I saw so many cool places in America. I met a lot of really cool people, just different lifestyles, so it was really cool, because it was really a lot of where I could, like experience something that a lot of people don't get to experience, I mean, like people that go to rodeos, they go watch and they're there for 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours, however long the rodeo is. When I went to a rodeo, I was there for maybe 30 minutes and I was gone.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get to the next one, you know.
Right.
It's a lot of traveling, and a lot of times you can't afford an airplane. You know, towards the end of my career, my travel partners, one of my partners, Justin, he met a guy that flew Cessna planes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we actually took a Cessna from Texas back to Denver.
Okay.
And it was, that was a nightmare. That was so scary. That was scary. So,
so was he a pilot? I mean,
he was actually, he had a license, but he needed more hours so he could get it, so he could graduate up to different planes.
Right.
So he was like, yeah, I'll fly you anywhere you want to go. But
wow.
He wasn't like the best pilot in the world. You know?
Right.
And it was like, I just don't feel safe here. Yeah. Give me some.
That's like getting
chloroform and wake me up and we're there.
Right. That's like getting into the car with the student driver up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Going down the interstate, you don't know what's going to happen. So
right.
Just close your eyes and hope for the best.
Right.
But thank gosh, we didn't crash or anything like that. So it was good. But the bad thing is I had a really substantial head injury, and I had a lot of concussions before that because boxing, you get a lot of concussions. I played high school football, so I got a lot of concussions in there because I was a linebacker and a running back. So I got a lot of concussions with football, a lot of concussions with boxing, a lot of concussions with rodeo. And the doctor, after he got my head put back together, if you take another hit to your head or you have another brain injury, head injury, or concussion, you're gonna die. And I just could not accept that. It was like, and so he told me my boxing career was done, my rodeo career was done. So he's telling me all this when I'm recovering. So I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, I'm lost, I'm lonely. I'm like, what the heck am I gonna do with my life now? And I still had that feeling inside of the hunger. I still needed it. I needed that. That adrenaline, I needed it. It was a terrible thing. So I was just, sad. I was depressed. I was really depressed, and I had headaches nonstop. So I was always popping pain pills, just to make my head feel better, and I finally said, no, I'm not gonna die. That's why I entered that rodeo. Was I tricked my mom because I was like, I'm gonna do this. I want to do this. I'm gonna do it. Ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't do it. So that's why I did. And then I got to the rodeo. My mom didn't watch me. She stayed in the truck, dropped my beer bag. My friends, they put my bareback rigging on the bronc for me, and I got my chaps on. I got my bareback riding glove on, and I'm ready to go. They ran my horse in the chute. And I was like, oh crap, now it's time to go. And so I wasn't necessarily scared or afraid, but normally you're right at this point in time, you're just focused on making a good mark out, doing everything you need to do, like lift like Reagan, so you can have a really successful ride on the horse, But I wasn't thinking into this stuff. I'm gonna die. A few minutes, my life is gonna be over.
Right. And I'm pretty sure your mom was thinking the same thing when she's sitting there.
She was sad. She was crying. She was a hysterical wreck.
Right.
I walked away from the truck, and I felt bad for her, but man, it's just something I had to do. I had to see for myself, I had to.
Right.
So, and
do you think part of that is because you needed some kind of closure on that?
I don't know if I would say closure. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel inside my body and my head and my will. I didn't feel like there's no way in heck I'm going to die. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
And I'm listening to some doctor that doesn't even know me really. He knows medical stuff. He knows what's going on in my brain. He was a smart guy. I probably should have listened to him. You know? So, but I didn't. And I once I started that, I was climbing over the chute. I couldn't stop. I don't know why. When I was thinking I'm gonna die, why didn't I just stop?
Right.
I could just stop and say, "Whoa, turn it out. I don't want to do this." You know what I mean? But I can't. I've never been able to. Even if I had fear, I can't stop. I'm gonna do it anyways. Where I'm scared of anything, I'm still gonna do it.
Right.
Because failure is not an option. I don't like to fail at anything. you know. And my whole life up to that point was, you get back on that horse, man. You know, don't be a little
Right.
beep beep beep. And
Right,
then, you
right.
know, so I had no choice, and I put my hand in the rigging. I was
Right.
ready to go, and I'm gonna die. In a few seconds, I'm gonna be dead. I slid up on my rigging and I nodded my face like normal. And like I said, my reflexes were so slow that horse came out of the chute, boom, and my hand popped out of the rigging and it bucked me off. Poof! I hit the dirt. Opened my eyes. I didn't have a headache, and I was still alive.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
And so my confidence was like sky high. So I rodeoed, you know, for like 4 more years after that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty long time.
I had injuries, and I had a couple more pro fights after that, you know, and I never died, you know.
Right.
But I didn't want to die. I really didn't want to die, but I wanted to do what I would love to do, you know. And that was the hardest point in my life, was when I actually had to give it up, because my body was starting to fall apart. I was hurting all the time, and I couldn't heal as fast. You know what I mean? And the only way to make money in that business is you hit 4 or 5 rodeos a week. You know? And that's hard on your body. And once you get to a point, you just can't do it.
Yeah.
You know, because the horses are strong, the bulls are strong.
So when you retired, was it more of, you're getting older and your body not being able to absorb the blows the way it was, or was it still trying to recover from the injury, or kind of both?
I pretty much. I mean, I don't think I've 100% fully recovered from the injury still to this day. Mm-hmm. You know, I still have a couple times where my brain freezes up a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to recover from it, but I function really well. You know, I lost a lot of memory from that, and sometimes I can remember things now for a long period of time, sometimes a short period of time.
Right.
But, I mean, I work hard on it every day, because when you were in therapy, they give you little tricks of the trade that helps you remember things, or so you don't forget things.
Right.
Write everything down you have to do for the day. I'd probably still do that if I wasn't so lazy, but it actually did work.
Right.
You know, but I can like when I read a script or anything like that, I'll read it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You know, I read it a little bit longer than I probably should have to, but I read it. That way it's programmed in my head, and I don't ever have any problems on set. You know, you can ask any director or producer that I've ever worked with. When I'm on set, boom, things just flow like butter. You know? So it's actually really kind of nice, but it definitely took a toll on me. But no, the reason why I retired was I just couldn't. My body just wasn't healing, and I got tired of being sore. You know, I lost my hunger for it.
Right. So now, when you that period between you giving it up, what did you do in the meantime? How did you go from doing rodeos and boxing, and then get involved in acting?
Well, how I got involved in acting was kind of a mishap too. You know, I belonged in Denver, Colorado. I belonged to this organization called the Italians of America. Mm-hmm. And what it is a group that raises money for poor people or needy people, or orphanages. We actually our main focus was for an orphanage in Denver that was a non-state funded orphanage called the Citizen Center. And they had orphans from, I think, 1 or 2 years old all the way up to 15.
Wow.
But they didn't get money from the state, so it was hard for them. So we raised, not a lot of money, but we raised like $50,000 a year for them.
Wow.
And I really loved it, because I was actually doing something productive with my life. I was doing something good with my life. I was helping people, and boy, it felt so good. Because, I was when I was rodeo too. I was a fireman, and so I actually had a lot of time off work. With firefighters, they don't work like every day of the week. So I had a lot of time off. And I got to help people doing that too. So it was nice. I loved it. So I really, really liked helping people a lot. But when I was helping those kids that had nobody, that was something special, because they were so happy. If you just went to like Walmart and you bought a little $2 book and you took it to one of them, gave one of the kids here, man, you want to read a book? They were
Right.
so happy for that. So I'd go there and spend a lot of time with them and play basketball, read books, or play toys or whatever, and spend holidays with them. I spent Christmas, Thanksgiving, and this and that. So it was really good, you know. And so Tommy Lingrani was the president of the Titans of America, and he had a friend that was a director from Hollywood, and they were making a comedy movie in Denver. And he's like, Tony, I can get you an audition for this comedy movie. You'd be great in it. You're funny. And I was like, I'm going to be an actor, Tommy. I don't know about acting. I didn't even watch TV or movies, you know. I didn't care about that stuff at all.
And it's so different from what you're used to. I mean, it's like a completely different industry and environment, and
Yep, totally different. So I had no idea about it. I knew nothing about it. So he finally talked me into it. So I went to the audition. It was in downtown Denver at a warehouse, and it was like I walked in and I was nervous. I was so nervous. I don't know why, but I was scared. I was like, oh wow, you know, because I wasn't in any kind of environment I've ever been in. There was white sheets hanging everywhere. There was cameras and bright lights. And I walked in and introduced myself to the director, and he's like, cool, come on in. And I sat on one of these little bar stools in front of all these lights and cameras. And he asked me, he's like, did you bring your monologue? And I was like, what's a monologue? And he's like, what? What? And so I don't know what a monologue is. So he's like, just read this paper. So I grabbed the paper and I was reading it like word for word. I didn't put any emphasis in it or acting skills or anything like that. And he stopped me and shut me down and said, you're not an actor, are you? Because it was a big production movie, you know. And I was like, no, I'm not an actor at all. You know. And he got mad at me. He started cussing me because I wasted his time. Made me feel like I was this big. He called me a lot of bad words. You know what I mean? He's like, you'll never be an actor. Get the hell out of here. And I left like with my tail between my legs, and I was wounded. You know, he broke my pride. He broke my spirit. So I went home and I thought about it for a few days. I was like, this guy can't tell me I can't do this. You know, and he I'll show this guy. So I actually went to school, to the Colorado Film School. After that, you know, I enrolled in Aurora, Colorado. So I went there. I got a degree. And when I went to school, then after I got out of school, I did a few short films. I did a 6-week professional theatrical play production. I traveled around and did a play. I did a couple local commercials, and at that point in time, I felt like, okay, I'm an actor, you know. So I just wanted to give that director, you know, some hand gestures, but just to do it. But I actually kind of liked it. You know, it was actually pretty fun. You know,
I think it's kind of funny because, you know, to me, you know, doing the live productions, you know, the plays, that's like jumping into the deep end of it. You know, that
is so hard. I take my hat off to every person that's just a theatrical actor, because it is so much harder than it is on film. Because on film, you can stop, do another take, but when you're in front of people, you can't do another take. You know, it's basically you feed off of the crowd, because the play that I did was called The Odd Couple. So it was a comedy play. And I played Vinny in it. So it was funny, you know, but sometimes when you say something that's supposed to make everybody laugh, the crowd still sitting there going, like, or an actor forgets his line and you're trying to pick it up and you're like, you know, uh-oh. So you just then you start just doing free balling it, you know, you guys are talking and trying to make something funny happen, you know, so it was hard. So I definitely take my hat off to those guys, because there's a lot more blocking, there's a lot more set design where you have to be in a certain spot. It's a lot harder. So I liked film better, so I started pursuing film, you know, more than theatrical. So I did my first full-length feature film, and I actually got to work with a pretty big actress at the time. Her name was Laura Lee, and I was playing a gangster guy, and it was a fun movie. It was cool. I liked it a lot. But Laura sat down with me when we're on set, you know, in between takes, waiting to film, she's like, Tony, you're actually really good at this. You could be a really successful character actor.
Right.
What? All right, really? You know, so it was cool. Right. She really gave me a boost of confidence that made me really want to pursue the career. You know? And I didn't have anything else cool going on in my life. This was the coolest thing going on in my life, so I actually fell in love with it. You know, and I craved it. I started craving it just like I did rodeo and boxing, but on a different level because it wasn't a danger adrenaline, you know, but it was something, you know, it's totally different for me. So I think that's why I really tried hard, because it was new. I learned as much as I could about it, you know, when I did go to school, and then I kept, and still to this day, I take acting classes all the time, you know, for different things, you know, because sometimes you might not know anything about a certain role that you want to audition for, or a casting director calls you and says, hey, we're interested in you in this part. But you don't really know, you know, like, because I took a lot of fight choreography classes, I took a lot of weapons choreography classes, you know, combat training, stuff like that. I took all that stuff, and it helped me out in my career a lot, you know. I think boxing definitely helped me out with acting a little bit because of the fighting choreography, you know what I mean? I know how to like roll with punches and stuff like that, so that helped me a lot, you know. The thing was, I just couldn't get enough of it, because when you're on set and you do something amazing, you do a really good scene, you know, you feel good about it, and then you watch the playback and you're like, oh wow, that turned out really cool. You know? So I really like that. Then I started doing a lot of different kind of characters. Most of the acting I've done, to be honest with you, is a lot of Italian mafia stuff. You know, it's easiest to get cast in for a guy like myself. You know, so it's easy to do. But there's not mafia movies going on all the time, so it's trendy. I don't know if you've like followed trends of movies. Sometimes the horror movies are the popular movies. Sometimes mafia ones are. Sometimes cowboy movies are. You know, it's drama movies, and superheroes and Star Wars, of course, they're always popular. But it just depends, you know, on the success. So I did start branching out and getting a wider range of acting. I was a Catholic priest. I played in a couple horror movies. I did a cowboy movie. I played a lot of cops, a lot of FBI guys. So I mean, I'm widening my range. And I think that's important as an actor, to have a wide range. You know, one day I'd like to do a drama movie where I'm like a dad or some kind of a sports coach, or, you know, something like that. You know, I'd like to try something like that. So, you know, I do have something coming up really, really, really soon where I get to play a soldier. You know, in a modern day war movie, and I get to play a special ops soldier. So I'm really excited because I haven't played an army guy yet, so I'm excited for that. You know,
and that was one of my questions too. And we talked about this before. Is there like a particular role that you would love to play, or even a particular character?
Well, what I prefer doing is real life stories. You know, actual people. I find that to be more challenging for myself, because I like to challenge myself a lot. Because if you're doing a story, let's say I'm going to be Abraham Lincoln. Okay? I got to learn how Abraham Lincoln walked, talked, facial expressions, his words, how he said his words, you know, stuff like that. And I have to copy that perfectly to make it believable. Because if it's just a movie that didn't really happen, then I create that character myself. That's fun too, to develop a character. It is fun, but I think it's more challenging to be somebody that actually existed. You know? So it's really hard. You know, if you want to play George Bush, or you want to play Babe Ruth, you know, that's more challenging for me, because you have to do it exactly.
You have to be on point.
And that's more challenging. And then you actually got to kind of see what that person's life is actually really like, and feel what that person felt like inside. You know, like, oh wow, this guy's kind of cool, or ooh, this guy's a creepy guy. You know, so it's really kind of cool. You know, I like that. I like real characters.
Cool. Cool. And then one of the other things we talked about too is there like a particular actor or maybe even a movie that you would love to be like attached to, or to be able to work with?
I would have really liked to have been a part of The Sopranos.
Right.
That would have been a really cool thing because I like James Gandolfini. He was a good actor. That's pretty much his big breakout. He was an actor when The Sopranos came out.
Right.
I would have liked to have met him because I know a lot of my friends are actual characters off of The Sopranos. I know pretty much all of them, so it's really kind of cool.
Right.
I've asked them a lot of questions about James, and they told me he's a really outstanding guy. So it's like,
right.
Oh wow, cool. Because I like working with people that are still real, and they don't have a gigantic ego or they think they're God and all this stuff. Because you run into a lot of that in movies.
Yeah.
And in the movie business, you get to meet a lot of musicians as well.
Right.
Cross paths a lot. So a lot of musicians are the same way. They think, oh, I'm an artist. Leave me alone.
Right.
You're good enough to talk to me. It's like, really? Come here. Let me talk to you about something else. So,
right.
But I don't like actors like that. But I would like to work. I look up to like Keanu Reeves a lot.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite actors, and it's not because of his acting skill. It's what he does off camera.
Right.
He helps so many people in his life. He doesn't really care about if he's rich or famous, but what he does with his stuff is he helps people better their lives, and that wow, that's just incredible. And Ashton Kutcher does the same thing.
Right.
He does a lot of cool stuff too. So people like that, we never got a chance to even meet him or work with him. It'd be a really good day for me.
Right. And it's just not even just to work with them, just to be able to meet them as a person and get to know them, outside of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yep.
So anybody like my audience who are looking into getting into acting, what's some of the advice that you would give them?
I would learn as much as you can when you're on set from veteran actors. Watch how they deliver their lines, how smooth and fluent they are, so you don't stumble on your lines. Because you got to make acting you have to make it real, 100% believable. Because if it's not believable, they're going to turn the movie off, or your TV, and you're never going to get hired again. Because if you can't bring your real reality, then you're not going to be very successful at it. So learn from veteran actors. A lot of veteran actors can be hard to deal with. Some will help you, some won't. But find people that will help you. Take advice from them, learn from them. Because you can go to school all day long and learn in school, but once you're in the set, it's just like going to college for anything else. If you're a doctor learning in college and then you get into a hospital, it's a little different. You know what I mean? So learn as much as you can. It's a really hard job because there's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of heartache. But don't let that get you down. If you get an audition and you go to the audition and the director or producers are like, you're just not what we're looking for, or they, kind of degrade you a little bit, send you on your way, or you don't get a call back, don't let that get you down. You have to stay positive in this work environment, because if you're not positive, you will fail. And there's negativity all around you, so you have to stay positive. If you feel like, okay, I went to this audition, I didn't get the part, think about it. Why didn't you get the part? Have I done better? Well, could you've done better, and then fix it. Never give up and keep going forward with it. You have to keep moving forward, like you say in a lot of things. Moving forward. Don't get discouraged by people. Learn from people. Help people if you can. If you get help from someone, help them. Because everybody can learn from each other. Another really important thing is when you get cast for a project, you spend hours and hours and hours doing your homework, for this project, to make it real, to make it come to life. There's so many hours you have to study your lines. There's so many hours you have to maybe go to a class to learn how to be a character or watch YouTube videos. And like I told you today, when you have a family, a lot of that family time is taken away, and your family might not understand why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why are you not doing this? I'm working. I'm trying to work. So it's hard. So you have to have a really good support staff. Like I told you the other day, my girlfriend Tiffany, she does a really good job supporting me like that. She doesn't give me a hard time, with my job or anything, or when I have to travel or this or that. Because she's not a big movie fan either, so she don't understand movie life really well. But she's like, okay, just do what you got to do, and she's there if I need her. So I'm really grateful for that. So find a good support group if you're going to be an actor. Support you, because it's hard. It's a hard time. And sometimes kids and wives and girlfriends and dogs and everything else don't understand why you're neglecting them.
And one of the things that you mentioned before too is, don't if you get turned down for a role, don't take it personally, because it might be that you weren't a fit for that role. You might be a great actor, actress or whatever, but you're just not that, the fit that they're looking for a particular character. So you can't take that personally.
Right, because when a director gets a script or a producer gets a script, they read that script, and every character that they're reading about, they already visualize in their head what they want, what that character looks like, what that character acts like. You know what I mean? So if you get audition and you go and they turn you down, sometimes you might have been great for the job, but you just weren't tall enough, or maybe you're too tall, or maybe there's a lot of things that could happen. So don't get discouraged on that. I've been turned down a lot of times I've been turned down, and it actually fueled me, gave me more fire inside. Why didn't I get this job? Maybe I realized it after I thought about it. Maybe I did this in my audition. Maybe I did this. In today's world, like we're doing right now, most talk shows are all on the internet now. It's hardly face to face. So podcasts and internet talk shows are the way to go. Everyone's doing it. But that's how auditions are going nowadays too. It's all video auditions. Or sometimes they'll say, send me a reel, make a tape, and send me in your audition, or they'll do a live audition. And sometimes it's not good. You don't exactly know what they're looking for. Last year I made a lot of movies last year. I was really fortunate and blessed. But I remember one movie I really wanted. There was a lot of cool actors in it. They were actually filming in Detroit, and the director contacted me. My agent or anyone, he contacted me, and he contacted me on Facebook and said, Tony, I really, really want you in this movie. He sent me a few sidelines. He said, read it, do a self-tape, and kick it back to me. I'm going to kick it to the executive producer. I'm going to tell him I want you. He says, well, I did it. I was going to play a cop in it. But once the executive producer looked at it and said, no, I don't want this guy. That's all right. But you know what? It's okay. If somebody else got the job, I'm happy for him. And that's another thing for a newer actor. If somebody else beats you out on an audition, be grateful, be happy for them. That's one of your fellow workers that they just got a job. Be happy for them. Don't be disappointed, and don't say, well, I'm better than he is or she is or anything like that, because that's negative. Because Hollywood, is worldwide, but Hollywood is so small. Everybody knows everybody. And if you don't know them, they've heard of you, or you've heard of them through other people, because it's a circle of everybody knows. And they're going to know if you're negative. They're going to know if you have an attitude. So always be positive, be polite, be courteous, use your manners. Because there's a lot of times I've been on set with people that are very disrespectful, and they think that they're better than everybody, and they're really not. And it makes it hard on set. I did a movie last year that's coming up this October, but I worked with a lady, and she was a really big musician, but she was just getting into acting. So they asked her because she was already super popular because we had a lot of fans from her music. Well,
Right.
getting into film, and she was hard to work with. I'm not going to
Wow. Yeah.
say names or anything like that because it's kind of don't do that either. You don't want to call people out, but
Right.
it was tough on set. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. It was really, really tough on set. So just be cool, listen, learn. If the director wants you to do something special or do it a different way, listen to them. That's their job. They're directing you on what their vision is, what they see. So
Right.
don't feel like, oh, I'm not a good actor if this director is telling me nonstop what to do. It's just what they see. You're working for the director. You have to do everything they say anyway. So be positive no matter what. When I played that Catholic priest, in the movie that just came out, The Vagrant, they just had the premiere of The Vagrant on the 22nd of May, but I was unable to go out to the premiere in New York. But they're getting ready to put it all over streaming platforms and this and that. It was a drama movie. I played a Catholic priest. I went to Catholic church a lot. I love church. I love God. I love Jesus. I really do. But I've seen a priest 1,000 times, but I actually never thought I'd be a priest. So I had to do a lot of research. I use YouTube a lot. I watched a lot of eulogies. I watched a lot of mass. So I had to really dig deep on this one. But the script, I had a 500-word eulogy. And so I mapped it out in my head, and I said it 1,000 times. And I developed my character to be real. But when I got on set, the very first time that we did the first take, I went through the whole thing. The director's like, that was really good job. But nothing close to what I want.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And it kind of shut me down because I was like, what do I do? I'm on set. He didn't like it. She didn't like it. So what do I do? So she told me, she's like, try it this way and be more like this. I worked through it. I worked through the problem and boom, nailed it. Just how she wanted it. It was not my vision of what I created, but I was able to overcome the diversity of the different styles of what I thought versus what she thought. She's the boss. So I had to listen to her and it overcame. And it was cool. It was cool. It worked out really good. It was I had a lot of cool scenes in that movie. So I was really happy with it. She was happy. So as long as the director's happy, they're happy with you, feel good about it. Because you did your job.
And that makes me think too. I mean, you've done several different movies in different genres, and what do you think was your most challenging role?
Mafia roles are pretty easy for me because I know a lot of real life mafia stuff, so it's pretty easy to do mafia stuff. Horror movies are really easy. I think the hardest one would be the Catholic priest, or one that I just did in The Last Patriot, because I played an undercover FBI guy. And that movie was a little hard for me to do because some of the dialogue I had to say made me a little uncomfortable. Because it's such a controversial film. Because it was based on the storming of the Capitol a couple years ago when everyone took over Washington, D.C. and all the big riots were going on. My character was I was trying to get inside of a militia group that was going to the Capitol. So getting inside that militia group and some of the things I had to do and say was pretty uncomfortable for me because, in that film, it's not all Republican. It's not all Democratic. It's down the middle where you can place your own opinion and your own view of what happens because it's not picking sides. It's just shot right in the middle. They had the Proud Boys in it. They had the BLM guys in it. They had, cops in it. And, stuff like that. Like the militia group that I was infiltrating was actually a group of police officers, that was all pro, we're doing this. This is what we're doing, and we're going to Washington, and we're going to take that Capitol. So there was a couple colored guys in that group. One of them that I worked with, his name was Bishop Stevens. Outstanding man. Bishop is a cool guy. Excellent actor. Been through a lot. He did a lot of WWE or F wrestling, and great big strong guy.
Right.
His uncle was a junkyard dog, so I mean, there's a lot of history with him. So he has a lot of fans already from wrestling, and he broke into acting a few years ago, and he's phenomenal because he's another one that just works and works and works and works.
Right.
And he's determined to be the best he can be on his inside too. But I learned a lot from Bishop. He's a really cool guy, awesome to be on set with. But me and him had some scenes together that was talking about white black people together. It was like, oh, this is weird. This is uncomfortable because I wouldn't ever do this on the street because I don't think this way. So, and he, and he kept saying, "Shut up, and just keep going, man. Let's do this." I was like, "Okay, cool, let's roll it." So we did, and it was uncomfortable a little bit, So it was hard. So that's probably one of that was the hardest. I do have another film coming up this year. That's going to be another controversial film. I'm going to play a TV host to a talk show of like on Fox News. I have my own segment like on Fox News. And big fan base, and it's about the vaccine. When the vaccine first came out, and I'm telling people a bunch of stuff about the vaccine. I'm not going to give too much of the movie away, but I do some pretty crazy stuff in that film, what you have to say. So it's hard to get mentally prepared, like I don't think I'd ever be good in a romance movie. Throw that out there. I just, I did a mafia series a few years ago, and I had a couple intimate moments in that, and it was so uncomfortable for me. I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like I don't want to go overboard, but I don't want to make it where it's not sellable. Where it's not believable, and I don't want to offend anybody, and it's just really uncomfortable. So a lot of people can do stuff like that. I just haven't got there yet because I hadn't had a lot of it, and I'm trying to stay away from it. I'd do a romance movie if I didn't have to, sit down and
in most movies like now, I mean, like romance movies, they show that kind of stuff. To me, it would just be so awkward. Yeah, especially if you don't if this is an actress that you just met, and you're, I mean, it's just to me, it just be so awkward to do that.
Yeah, it's like going on a blind date and you're sucking face with her 10 minutes later. It just doesn't work that, it doesn't work like that. So it's hard, Some people are comfortable with the parts. They're really good at it. Just like I'm comfortable at things I do, in film. I like that, but if I'm going to further my career and open my door a little wider, I'm going to have to get that someday. I'm going to have to get over that hump of shyness or uncomfortable, whatever is blocking me right here. I got to get over it so I can expand my doors, so I have more opportunities for work. That's what I'm trying to tell newer actors. Don't turn down roles, right away, especially when you first start acting. Take everything you can get, because that's giving you a bigger range of acting. Because when casting directors or producers or directors are even looking at you, they're going to look at your films, and they're going to look at your demo reel, and they're going to be like, okay, well, he had a really good range here. He wasn't, or she wasn't good here. So he might not be good. So let's not even call him, so take everything you can get. Don't be picky. Be grateful that they're even calling you, or you go to an audition for it. If you get a call back, be grateful, be thankful, because you're going up against a lot of other people. So don't turn down jobs, because no job it's not worth it. It's going to hurt your career if you do. So.
Wow. Well, cool. That's some great advice too. So, we've talked about some of the movies you've done. What all do you have coming out, and what are you currently working on?
This year I got the Vagrant is coming out on streaming platforms. I got the Last Patriots getting ready to come out on streaming platforms. Film Hub and Amazon picked that one up. I'm not sure exactly where the Vagrant's going. I think it's Netflix.
Okay.
And I also have the Crystal, which was really cool. I played a creepy guy in that movie, but there was a lot of big stars. Open Bell from Saw was in it. Randy Couture, the UFC heavyweight champion, he was in it, so I got to work with him. Romeo Miller was in it. I don't know if you've heard Romeo Miller, but he had his own show back in the 90s, like Fresh Prince Bel-Air kind of thing. His dad was Master P, the rapper.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So he's done a lot. Richard Greco was in it. He was really cool.
Right.
A lot of cool actors in that film that I got to work with, and everybody on that set was pretty cool. Richard Greco was great. Tobin Bell was cool. Randy Couture was cool. They're all really cool people. They're very humble, down to earth, just hanging out with you, The biggest thing I've seen on that set was people's dietary needs. It was like, okay, give me a cheeseburger, I'm happy.
Right, right.
But it's, you get a chance to work with a lot of cool actors and stuff. So it's a really, really rewarding job, because once you get to a certain level and people are calling you, then I'm working hard for stuff like that so I can continue my career on a higher level.
Right.
I have people all the time, but quite a bit, at least once or twice, because I own a restaurant. Once or twice a week, someone wants to take a picture with me and and sign a little autograph. So it's kind of cool, I'm not thinking I'm better than anybody by doing that. It's just kind of cool that people recognize you.
Right.
I had last week or the week before, I had a lady stop by my house. My two daughters were playing in the front yard, and I'm in the backyard doing some work, and I hear them talking. I'd seen the car pull up, but I didn't recognize the car, and I hear them talking to a lady. So I'm like, what the heck, So I pop my head around the corner, and they're asking my daughter. The lady asked my daughter, "Is that where Tony Taylor lives?" And they're like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What's it like for your dad to be a movie star?" And first of all, I'm definitely not a movie star. I'm definitely not. I'm just an actor. But it was kind of weird. It was creepy, but weird, but kind of cool. The other day, a book, because outside my restaurant, there's a little bench you can sit at.
Right.
People opened up the restaurant. There was a book laying there, and it was, I have no idea who the book author was or anything like that, but you open up the page on it, and it said, "Tony Taylor, you're the best." So it's like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, where did this come from and why?
Right.
Because the book was made in the 90s. So
wow.
Like, I was like, this is,
it was it signed by the author?
It didn't have a name. It just said, "You're the best, XOXOXO." So I'm asking everybody, "Did you write this? Did you do this?"
Right.
And they're like,
right.
"Oh, we're creeped out by it." And it's like, okay. So who knows? I don't know.
Right.
But things like that happen. It's kind of cool. The other day I was in the store and I was walking this way and a girl walked by and I had no idea who she was. She's like, "Hi, Tony." I was like, "Hey." Right. My kids are like, "Who's that?"
Right.
They're like really protective, because they know my girlfriend really well and they love her. And so if a girl talks to me, they're like, they talk to my dad.
Right. Right.
It's like they're their little guard dogs. But
right.
I was like, I have no idea who it is.
And then they go back and tell her, "Hey, some girl."
Exactly. Rat me out.
Right.
So it's kind of funny, when stuff like that happens. But
right.
It doesn't give me a big head. It doesn't give me an ego. It really doesn't make me feel like I'm better than anybody, because I'm not.
Right.
I have heroes in my world, and it's definitely not actors. I love teachers. I respect the heck out of teachers.
Right.
I respect the heck out of firemen and law enforcement officers and our military.
Right.
I love them all, and I would do anything for any of them.
Right.
Because they're the ones who need to be praised.
Right.
It's not the $50 million a year athlete or an actor or anyone like that. It's those people in the trenches doing things that help us.
Right.
That's who I look up to.
Wow. That's cool. So, do you have anything that you're currently working on? Have you got the stuff that's
ready to? Well, I got 3 projects. I'm getting ready to leave the country and go do a war series.
Okay.
That's a big production.
Right.
And I also have the movie called The Big Lie, where I play the TV host. And then another lady wants me to be a serial killer in one of her films. I agreed to it. And then another lady wants me to be a mafia guy in one of her films. So I agreed to that as well. So I got 4 projects lined up.
Oh, wow.
So far. But the one that I'm going to be gone for a couple months filming a few scenes.
Right.
For the other one, which is cool. I'm really excited for that.
Right.
So other than that, that's all I got. So hopefully, people keep calling me because it's kind of a
Right.
nerve-wracking job.
Keeping you busy.
Calling.
Right.
If I don't hear from my agent or my manager or someone's not talking to me on Facebook, I get a little nervous.
Right.
How come no one's calling?
Right.
I need work. I need work. So, but I'm blessed. I've had a really good year. In 2021, I got inducted into the Italian American Celebrity Hall of Fame thing, which is really cool.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I should. Thank you very much. That was one of my big accomplishments that I really liked. That was unexpected.
Right.
But wow, it was cool because the people that was nominated that my name was next to, it was like, really?
Wow.
And I'm not near as big as those people. You know what I mean? Like Lady Gaga, she got into it.
Oh, wow.
My name was right next to her, and it was like, you're kidding.
Wow.
You know, so it was a really big honor. It's not that makes me feel like, yeah, that's me. It's not at all. It just made me like, wow, wow. You know, what an accomplishment for myself.
Right.
All the hard work and sacrifices I've done, it's little things like that makes it worth it.
Right.
You know, because it touched my life, and I like to touch people's lives too in a positive way. So as much as I can, I do the best I can.
And, you know, and think about that, you know, from when you first started, and you went to that very first audition, you know, where that director like just, you know, tried to destroyed you, and then be able to come out with, you know, being nominated for an award like that just shows, like, you know.
It is, but like I told you, I got a passion for acting when I first started, thanks to Laura Lee, and I'm never going to stop. I'm going to continue my craft.
Right.
I'm going to learn as much as I can still today. Even if I get turned down for a job, I'm going to get better and better and better. Not because I want to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm not doing it for that. I don't care about money or anything like that. I do it to entertain people. I do it for self-pride for myself, because there's a lot of hard things you have to overcome in acting. And if I can overcome them and I do it, then I feel like I've accomplished something for myself.
Right.
Because it's hard. Acting's really hard. There's a lot of people out there that want to be movie stars, so it's hard. You know, a lot of competition, so you're always having to stay on top.
Right.
You know, you've got to be ready for a call. You know, I've actually got a job before where a director called me and said, I need you out here in a couple days. Can you do it? But, for what role? You know, I already said yes, but for what? You know, what am I doing?
Right.
I'll definitely be there, but you have to be ready for it at all times, you know, so you just have to be on top of your game at all times, always.
Right. So, what's the best way for people to reach out and get, you know, with your social media, you know, get in touch with you through your social media and be able to follow you and, you know, get the release dates and, you know, where your movies are going to be aired at?
IMDb has a lot of information about every actor has an IMDb page, so you can go to my IMDb page. I do have Instagram, but I don't ever get on there for a long time because I forgot my password. To be honest with you, I'm not really big on social media. Yeah, I kind of burn out on it. I have Facebook. I don't really post a lot on Facebook, but you can definitely message me on Facebook because I definitely will respond to you. If you reach out to me, I'll definitely reach out back to you. You know, if you want to give me some criticism of my acting or if you need some pointers, I'm definitely open to both of them, you know, because I still like when actors come up to me and tell me, I think you could have tried it this way and it would have been a little better. Because I learned that way, you know. Like, I have a really good actor friend. He's more like a brother to me. His name's Vincent Rivera. He's been in the game a really long time. He's been in a lot of crazy big productions. He's a normal guy, you know, but he is a big actor to me. He's like huge. He's been on everything, even a silly soap opera.
Oh, wow.
But it's you know, it's funny because he helps me out a lot too. You know what I mean? I'll call him up and say, hey, Vinny, I got this role in this or that, and I'm kind of confused on what my demeanor should be on this. And he's like, well, think about it, you know, and we go through a whole thing. He takes time out of his life to do it, to help me, you know, and so I'll definitely do that with anybody else if I can. You know, I'm definitely there to help you. And, you know, I've known Vinny a long time, and I was really really, really cool that I got to work with him. He was actually in The Last Patriot too. You know,
Okay.
he was my partner, so it was like a dream come true.
Oh wow!
You always wanna work with your friends, you know,
Right.
But you seldom get to do it. So when I got to work with him, it was a dream come true. You know?
Right.
I actually do have a couple more productions I forgot to tell you about. 2 more mafia films that I'm going to be doing in the very near future as well. One is called Mob Fight, and it's by the same guy that did The Last Patriot, Sean Kane, which he does a really, really good job.
Okay.
I really like working with Sean Kane because he's not afraid to do controversial things that most people are afraid to do.
Right.
You know, he doesn't care. He wants the story out there. He wants people to see the truth about certain things, you know, whether you like it or not. And he's not leaning toward Democrat or Republican. It's just right down the middle.
Right.
You know? So his vision is really, really cool. He's a very brilliant man when it comes to directing and writing and stuff. So I really like working with him. So I do have those 2 films with Sean still, with Phoenix Rising Productions. And then there's another mob movie we're doing called Forget About It. And that's almost a $17 million budget.
Oh wow!
And there's a couple A-listers that'll be attached to it, and so it's big. You know, it's not big like Marvel or anything like that, but for a mafia movie, that's a big budget.
Right.
And that's based on real life events too. So I'm really excited for that. With the character I played, really, I'm really excited for that movie. So that'll be doing in 2022 as well. So I got a busy year still. I got a really busy year.
Cool.
Hopefully, everything works out good. Because the funny thing about movies is they say only 15% of movies are actually made. You know, that the ones you see on the TV.
Right.
Those are part of the 15% of movies that were out there.
Right.
Something happened and they didn't get made. So it's always good to have a lockdown contract. If that happens or an LOI, then you know the movie's going to happen. You know, because you can have people tell you all day long, I want you in my film. Okay, great, thanks, see you on set. And it never happens. So if you get an LOI or a contract, then, then you're good to go.
Cool.
You know, and I have all those. So I'm happy.
Awesome. Right? I'm looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
There's a...
Me too. I saw some of The Vagrant, only a few clips here and there. I did watch The Last Patriot. They did a couple mini releases. They had a couple editing things they had to finish up on it. So when I first seen it, I was like, all right, okay, it's different. But the final product of what I saw just the other day, wow,
cool,
phenomenal. I was like, wow, that's right. Because I don't really like watching myself on movies or TV or anything like that. It's kind of weird, but I do watch it. I do it so I can learn from my mistakes, or I see me and I'm like, I could have done better right there. You know, because when I'm watching movies, I don't really watch it for the story. When I watch movies or TV shows, I'm watching on the production side. I'm looking at the camera angles. I'm looking at the lighting. I'm listening down. What kind of camera did they use? I'm looking at actors and their abilities. So I'm not really following the story when I'm watching TV or movies. I'm watching the production side because I can learn a lot that way. So new actors do that a lot too. Don't just watch a love story because, I want to be in love. Watch a love story or any kind of story to follow exactly how these people are delivering their lines, their demeanor, how they did it, you know. So you'll learn a lot that way.
Well, cool. That's great advice too. So, all right, man. Well, I wanted to thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. Like I said,
I really like the parts. You're a good man. I like what you're doing on your show, though. You send a positive vibe out to people, and that's why I really was grateful that I was on your show, because there's so much negativity in this world, and you're such an uplifting human being that I always feel good when I talk to you. You're just such a good guy, you know.
Right. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I really am very honored to be a part of this, you know, and I hope we get 1 million subscribers to your show, because I'd like to see your show in the world, because you do a good show, and it's send a good message every time you have a show. So.
Cool. Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you for taking your time of your life to put on a show for people.
Yes.
You got a fan here, buddy.
I appreciate it. Man, thank you. So, like Tony said, we need the subscribers. And one of the things too that help us with these subscribers is we want to eventually be able to do this live, so that when I have guests on like Tony, you know, you guys could chime in and you guys could ask questions too, and we can actually interact with you guys. So yeah, every time you see one of these videos, at least hit subscribe. And then, you know, and then of course we want you to you know, hit like, and we definitely want to hear your, you know, your comments and your feedback as well. And if you put some questions in the comments, you know, I know Tony, so I'll just call Tony, and you know, maybe we'll bring him back on, you know, sure. And we'll just do a Q&A, you know, with some of you guys' questions. So, all right, well, cool. All right, well, thank you guys for tuning in, and you know, like I said, I had a lot of fun with this one. So until next time, remember, you are uniquely designed with a purpose, and always keep moving forward. Peace.